I love to solve problems. I love to meet new people. Oftentimes the clients that we meet are in the worst parts of their lives. They've had their religious liberty trampled upon, taken for granted, something, and they're looking for help, but they don't know what to do. And they're even questioning whether or not they knew what they believed. And it's great to be able to come into those situations and say, there is somebody that's going to be able to stand with you. There's a challenge here. We've got to go and try to figure that out and solve it. But at the end of the day, the fun part of the entire job is solving the problem. So when I was in the 8th grade, my parents introduced me to a guy by the name of David Barton. And if you don't know his ministry, he goes around the country talking about America's religious heritage. I got really excited about America's religious history, something that I kind of intuited, I guess, from some history classes, but he went into a whole lot more detail about it, and I got very excited about that. Combine that with probably arguing too much with my parents. They identified in me some skills in terms of speaking and articulating issues, arguing issues, and they trained me over the years to believe in what I believed in, to be able to speak about what I believed, to understand my worldview and to articulate it well. And my parents were very keen on family dinner, which is a great thing to have, and we maintained that in our home. But our family dinner consisted of conversations about the world events, politics, things that were happening in our church and in our community, but especially involving, what was happening in the country. And they did a really great job, looking back on it now, thinking through this, of articulating, this is what's happening in Washington, D.C. or whatever political thing that was going on, but this is what it means from our faith. How do we look at the world through the lens of the Christian faith, for me? And I owe an eternal debt of gratitude to my parents, my grandparents, who have passed that down to me generationally, to look at the rest of the world, not simply through the lens of, red and blue or economic terms or something like that, but to look through the world through the lens of the scriptures and say, what does this mean in the eternal? How does this apply? How do what we believe apply to the world around us? I lost my mother earlier this year. She was very insistent on that. She would drive me to and from school, and we would talk about these issues. We would listen to the political talk shows together and dissect the issue together. I owe a lot of who I am to her. She not only was my first teacher, she was my first debate partner. We're more free than we've been in my entire lifetime today. We've put in a lot of effort in 50 years, and in the 10 years I've worked at First Liberty, we've seen some massive gains for religious liberty. So I'm very excited for the future. We've gotten some bad cases off the books. Those are no longer good law. Where I remain a bit challenged and worried for the future is just whether or not Americans are going to live like free people or not. We've lived for so long under this idea of this, quote, separation of church and state, which is not a thing. But the Supreme Court has been sending the precisely opposite message of that. They want people of faith to be people of faith. And the only way that America's brand of freedom actually works is if you and I as citizens insist upon that freedom going forward and live as free people. We don't need to be afraid of that. And my hope for the future is that we will live like the free citizens we are, and because of that, the faith that we present in every aspect of our society will go on to make not only the country better, but the individual citizens within our reach far better people. I'm Jeremy Dys, and I'm first in the fight.